Hey everybody, I am back finally. I know I only did 3 videos and then I was like, take a month break. But no, seriously. Sorry to not have posted in a while. I have literally been really busy, but I told myself that I was going to get this done today. So I am in my car, as you can see, trying to get this next video out. And then moving forward, and this is just me being transparent, my goal is to get this out once a week. I just really want to make sure that I'm being consistent. 2024, I told myself, like, some of the things that I really need to hone in and focus in on are discipline around being consistent in whatever it is that I'm doing. So this is me making a pledge that I'm going to be consistent in this and get this out once a week. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into it as soon as I, welcome my new people. So if you're new here, this is the story of myself and my husband's journey through infertility. We have been married for 15 years, and we're just kind of going back through where we started to where we are now. So welcome. So if you or someone you know has struggled with infertility, or just anything that they felt like they've dreamed of having all their life or have desired for a long time and they've really struggled with obtaining that, like, this channel is for you. I really want to show how God shows up for us even in times where we feel like He's not hearing us, or we feel like He, doesn't hear the things that we want. So share this, like, subscribe if you want to hear this story. Go back and watch the first 3 videos so you can get caught up to where we are now. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Like I said, we're going to jump right back into it. So the last video I left off, I was talking about when I took Clomid. So that is an infertility drug, if for those of you who don't know, and it's supposed to help boost your ability to get pregnant. And so that's where I left off. So I had taken that. I did not like taking it because it really affected the way that I felt hormonally, physically. I was just tired, had some pain, like menstrual type of pain. It wasn't for me. We did it for 2 months, and obviously we didn't see any success with it. And so I was just like, if it's not going to work, then I don't want to do it. And my doctor wanted to try it because it was a really non-invasive way to try to start talking about, like, where, how we can get started on really making an effort to try to get pregnant, because up until this point, we hadn't been successful on our own, and we have been married for 2 or 3 years at this point. And so since I no longer wanted to take it, after talking to my doctor about, like, this is what it's doing, I just kind of want to stop it. She was like, well, the next thing that we can do is to take a look at your reproductive system to see if there's anything that's preventing it, because we hadn't really taken any measures to even see if there was anything causing the infertility. So we decided to go ahead and do this outpatient procedure. That's a really long name. It starts with an H. That's about as good as it gets with me, but it's an outpatient procedure. They just go in, take a look to see if I had anything affecting my uterus, my ovaries, to make sure that there wasn't anything causing me to not get pregnant. And so during the procedure, they didn't find anything. They did find, like, a small fibroid, like, on the outside of the lining of my uterus, less than 1 centimeter. And then one of my ovaries was stretched behind a ligament, apparently. Didn't know that was a thing. So she moved it back into place. And then outside of that, she's like, I don't see anything that would qualify you to be diagnosed with endometriosis. I don't see that you have any indicators of PCOS. So there's not really anything that we can find that gives us any thought that, there's something else causing your infertility. So at this point, we had been told that it was just unexplained. So there was no explanation for it. It just was something that wasn't happening. Which for me was really disappointing, because I was just like, well, if at least, something was causing it, then I would have this reason as to why it wasn't happening. But to literally have no reason as to why I'm not getting pregnant, I just could not get that. Like, it didn't make sense to me in my mind. So, and y'all don't talk about my nails. We're kind of going through right now. I am going to get them done in a couple of days, but right now, this is where we're at. So if you see them, just don't even pay attention to that. So, but anyway, so at this point in time, we were like, all right, well, if there's no reason for it, then, maybe the next step is to talk about adoption. So at this time, we were living with some family members, so we were splitting bills, like living in the same apartment, but splitting bills. And we were like, well, we'll only be here for like another, I think at that time, we had been there for almost a year, so we were like, we'll only be here for a little bit longer. So, maybe if we go ahead and get the adoption process started, by the time we move in on our own, all this other kind of stuff. So, or at least talk about it and find out about it to see like what the expectation is. So, my husband also at the time was in a transition from one job to the other, because there were just some things that happened at his current job, that he had to find a new one. So, so he got a new job, and he had a little bit more flexibility in his schedule. I was working at a cleaning company, so I literally was working from sun up to sundown. So he went to this adoption informational session that is hosted by one of the local adoption agencies. They're actually a nationwide agency, but the local office in our area was hosting it. And so he went. I couldn't go because I had to work. And so while he was there, he got all the information that he could get. And then, because really all they explain is like the cost, the process, what to expect, all of those different type of things. And then they try to answer like any questions that you may have. So he calls me after he gets done. I was getting something to eat, and he tells me while he was there, he met this lady. And because they were both sitting in the back, he got there late, and he was like, the lady started talking to him about something called embryo adoption. And he was like, I mean, it sounds pretty cool. Like, if, you want to be pregnant and you don't want to do like this route, maybe that's something we can consider. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And so the way he explained it was just like when couples go through IVF, they have remaining embryos, they pay for them to be stored, and some people, don't want the embryos to be destroyed, so they essentially will let other families adopt them, and then you carry the baby, that kind of thing. My initial reaction was like, no, that's weird. I don't want to do that. So he was like, how's it weird? And I was like, that's just, no. He's like, but it's kind of cool. It's different. I was like, yeah, but no. And so he's like, I mean, all right, well, I tried. And I was like, all right, well, what else did they say? And so he kind of talked to me about some of the other stuff that they said. And so I was like, all right, well, let's just, I guess maybe talk about that and see what we want to do. And so we did. We talked about it. Unfortunately, it just ended up being something that was way too expensive. Like, we couldn't afford it. I think it was like $25,000-$30,000, and we didn't have no $25,000-$30,000 money. And so that stopped that. So we were just like, all right, fine. So in the meantime, in between time, we ended up moving into our own place. Our family members ended up moving into our own place next door. So then we went from living with each other to living next door to each other. So we were like, all right, so now we're here. We ended up taking in some kiddo family members, and they were with us for about a year. And while they were with us, we ended up buying a house. So we bought our house, moved in 2015. And so at this point, because we got married in 2009, so we had been married 6 years, and started having the conversation again about adoption. And so when we were talking about adoption, we're just like, well, you know, we already have, you know, our other kiddos at the time. Is this something that we think we could do realistically right now? And we were just like, probably not. Let's just wait. And so we did. We waited, and they ended up going back home. So then the conversation came up again. So this is about another year later. And I was no longer working at the cleaning company. I got a new job at a different company as a customer account manager. And then my husband had gotten a new job doing like sales. And so now we're a little bit more well established, making a little bit more money than we had been making. And so we're like, okay, now we can really talk about this adoption conversation, because we're still at the point where nothing is happening. We've got unexplained infertility. We've tried, we failed. We've tried, we failed. We've tried, we failed. And just kind of going through that cycle over and over again. And so, so the conversation about embryo adoption came up again. So I was like, okay, fine. Let's just look into it. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. Like, let's just look at it. So we found an agency and online, and we started looking over their website. And one of the things that we honed in on was the application. So we're like, okay, like, what are all the things that they want? Like, how much is it going to cost? So this kind of broke it all down from cost to like process, expectation, all that kind of stuff. So we're like, well, let's look at the application and see like if this is something, you know, we could go ahead and do. So we're looking through the application, and we're starting to fill this out. And just so we could get information, y'all. I literally was like, I don't know. I still was like, I don't know. And so we get to the part where it's like, okay, like, what race? This is where it all kind of fell off. So we start talking about race because they have like Caucasian, Indian, Native American, Indian, like from India, East Asian, I think it's East. Don't get me lying, but just all of these different Pacific Islander, like all these different like nationalities, ethnicities, like, and obviously African American, that kind of thing. And so my husband was like, well, let's just put them all. And I was like, no. He was like, why not? I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And so we literally went back and forth about this for like 2 or 3 hours for the rest of that evening. And at the end of it, and we weren't like arguing, but we were having a disagreement because we could not get on the same page with this. And so at the end of it all, we were just like, you know what? We're done. No more conversation. We're done. We'll table it. We'll let it go. So we did just that. We did not talk about it again. We did not talk about adoption. We did not talk about foster care. We didn't talk about none of it. We just let it go. We're doing our thing and just whatever. So almost a year later, so 2016, we started talking to our care group leaders. So at the time, the church we would have what's called care groups, where basically like once a week Bible studies, where you get with a small group of people from the church and you do a Bible study. And we would do this at different people's houses. So whoever's house it is, like they would be the ones who would host it, and then you have like the leaders of the group. And so after everybody had left this one particular night, we were talking to them, and this conversation came up. And I think it was because they didn't have any kids, we didn't have any kids, and we were just kind of talking about like this idea of like being a couple who doesn't have kids, and everybody's asking you, and you know, what are your thoughts and all that. And so the topic of embryo adoption came up, because obviously I think we had started talking about adoption. And that was the night that, because the disagreement we were having, we were just kind of able to bounce it off of them, just as another married couple, man and woman. Like, how would you feel? Like, what do you think? And at the end of it all, like, it gave us both a lot of good insight, because I still was in the mind of like, I am really having a hard time grappling with, you know, not being able, or not having been able to have kids on my own, but also having to pursue this as a possible option, and then throwing these other factors in there. It made it overwhelming. But they really helped, and I'll kind of go more into that conversation in another video, but they really helped, you know, us both have a different perspective. So probably about a month after that conversation, we talked about it again. And so we were able to come to an agreement, and we filled out the application. So we filled out this application, and within 24 hours, it might even been the same day, because I can't remember if it was overnight that we did it or in the morning, but the lady who owned the organization, the agency, she called us and was like, hey, like, I'm going to introduce myself, got your application, all this other kind of stuff. So the one thing she did tell us on that call was, you know, I saw that you guys chose like African American or mixed race. And, you know, while we do have some mixed race embryos come through, more often African American embryos just are rare or uncommon that we have come through in this process. So it may take a while. She's like, I know they're out there, but, you know, it's just not something that we see a lot of. And so it may take a while to get you matched. And so we're like, okay, that's fine. Like, we're open. Like, we're not really coming into this with any expectation. We really are just like, all right, let's do it. Like, we've prayed about it. We feel like this is where the Lord has led us. Here we go. So literally 2 weeks later, we're visiting my husband's family. We're out of town. She calls us. Hey, the craziest thing happened. I met some lady, and she has embryos. So if you made it this far, thank you guys for continuing to stick with me as I go through this story. The next video will be the last video of this story. So it will be the process of the embryo adoption, how that went. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. It'll be 2 more videos, because it's kind of like a 2-part. So the next video will be more about like the process of like doing the adoption, and then the video after that will kind of be talking about how it ended up. Maybe, I don't know, I may be able to get it done in one video. We'll see. But anyway, thank you guys for coming back to see this next video, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. And please, I want to see your comments. I want to see your questions. So if you have questions that you want me to answer, please put them down below. Because like I said, I am going to backtrack through this story and really delve into like the emotions and the different aspects of the journey that I went through and what that was like for me. Because I really feel like that is an important piece of this story. because I feel like there are definitely people who have been in the situation that I've been in, or who are currently struggling with some of the things that I struggle with in this process. And so I really want to see, like, what are some of the questions you might have for me so that I can answer those as I'm doing this. So put them in the comments below. And like I said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you can continue to get notification, and click the notification bell wherever it is. I'm still not familiar with this, but wherever it is, click the notification bell so when I do post a new video, you will get, updates on when that is available. So until the next video, I'll see you guys later, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.